let's talk about the next pillar, and that is trunk-based knowledge. Trunk-based knowledge is this idea that in order for us to be efficient learners, to be successful learners, to have successful careers, we must first start from the roots, from the trunk of the tree, before we get to the leaves. What does that mean? Well, most of us think that to get really good at something is we learn one thing, then we learn another thing, and then we learn another thing. Let's say, for example, you want to learn how to play the guitar, and then you also want to learn how to build a house, and then you also want to learn how to program. Trunk-based knowledge instead says that instead of working from these leaves, we want to start at the roots, at the trunk, and form that trunk in order to develop our knowledge. But what does that really mean? Well, the idea is that we need to first start with the fundamentals, the principles, when getting started on a subject. For example, if you're learning to program, you might want to know how a computer works, or why do we use computers for certain tasks and humans for other tasks. This idea of fundamentals, of the why of something, is really important, because when we just start learning, let's say playing the guitar, and we don't understand the fact that there's different chords that we can use, that some chords can be repeated to create music, or we don't know anything about reading a music sheet, that's actually going to make your learning a lot tougher long term. Instead, with trunk-based knowledge, we want to start from the principles, be able to answer the question why, the fundamentals of that topic. And as we move on through the course, you'll notice that we really focus on this trunk-based knowledge of understanding the principles and the why of things before we dive deep into smaller little techniques. We want to view knowledge as a form of tree, making sure that we understand these trunks, these fundamental principles, before we get into the leaves or the details. Because we live in a world that knowledge is constantly being updated and changed. And when we start learning the principles, the fundamentals, those are the things that actually last a long time over your career. Versus the leaves that constantly turn with each season, new leaves form. So instead of learning quickly expiring knowledge that are the leaves, we want to focus on knowledge that lasts forever or as long as possible. And when we start with that, no matter how the trends change, no matter how society changes, we have that trunk to develop skills as they change to adapt to the current society.